call the Destin Fire Control Board of Fire Commissioners meeting to order. We're at 848 Airport Road here in Destin. Today is October 13th, 2020, and the time is 5:30 p.m. This meeting is open to the public. And first thing we'd like to talk about is employee recognitions.
Yes, sir, we don't have any for this month, but we will have quite a few next month.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then public comments. So I'd like to open the floor up to anybody who would like to speak. After the public. Seeing no one from the public, floor is now closed. Review of the minutes. Tentative budget hearing September 8th, 2020. Regular meeting September 8th, 2020. And final budget hearing September 17th, 2020.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of tentative budget hearing September 8th, regular meeting September 8th, and final budget hearing on September 17th.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any changes, deletions? Seeing none, take a vote. All in favor? Unanimous. Financial report, September 30th, 2020. Captain?
The financial reports presented are preliminary drafts of the September 30th, 2020 fiscal year end. There are a few adjustments still to be made. We're still waiting on a few vendor invoices. The large adjustment will be the adjustment to the pension fund liability. We will not know that for several months until the actuarial report is received. At that time, we push that entry to our auditors. But the report before you has the majority of the adjustments to it already. I am happy to say that we came out with a positive year, revenue over expenditures. So we do have rollover going into the next year. The cash position is high for this time of year, and that's just due to timing. The year ended September 30th. We had a very large payable and payroll on October 1st. So the cash position is already down to $200,000 as of today. Accounts receivable are all considered collectible at this time. We are working with Attorney Matthews on collection efforts for some of the reinspection fees. Fixed assets have been adjusted for all acquisitions. Dispositions still need to be recorded, as well as depreciation. Liabilities and equities have been adjusted. And as far as the revenues over expenditures, revenues are approximately 7% higher than budgeted, while expenditures came in approximately 19% lower than budgeted. So again, as far as the great reduction in expenditures, the difference there, it's because we had capital expenditures that are pushed forward into upcoming years. So that is the reason for the large savings in the expenditures versus the budget. If there's any specific questions.
Yeah. On the proceeds of the accident, that's the fireboat, right?
It's actually a combination. The largest portion of it is the fireboat. There will be a reclassification of any expenditures that we have to go against that account, because that is a net gain or loss for accident proceeds. But we have not expended anything for the fireboat. So,
But we're going to, so should we consider moving that directly to the asset fund?
I'm going to reply with no to that, for the reason of the asset fund already takes into account in the estimates that are built into the upcoming budget to take money out to pay for the fireboat, and then to begin putting money back in for the depreciation. It's already accounted for in a different part of the accounting. So
Well, that's the way you set up the budget for next year.
Correct.
Recognize, okay. I would look at what we basically did was we had accelerated depreciation on the fireboat. Basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Unintentional acceleration.
intentional.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve the financial report for September 30th, 2020.
Second.
All right, got a motion to approve in a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, take a vote. All in favor? Unanimous. Moving to old business, discuss the west end of District Station.
Chair, the latest was I've dropped off all the 500 plus or minus signatures to the city. This morning, I also turned in the answers to their questions that the staff had, or the council had asked. Also turned in the questions that one of the citizens had asked. And I also filled out an application to speak in front of council on the 19th to give them everything that they've asked for. If the other commissioners could be there that night, I would appreciate you all being there, the chief being there.
What time is it? 6?
6. So we can lay all the cards on the table and just see if they're willing to go vote. And of course, I'll have to direct the staff to put it on the, advertise it for the following meeting, which is their last meeting, that someone will be there before the new council gets brought in, so. That's where we stand.
Thank you very much.
Mike, can I just ask a few questions? In thinking about that and having sat through most of the last council meeting, painful though it was, there's a whole bunch of things kind of globbed together, and for us, it comes together at Clement Taylor Park. Because I mean, that's the least square solution to all the problems. The problems are, how do we get to Crab Island faster? The alternative is, let's just don't go to Crab Island. I mean, you could argue that we have water rescue requirement. Crab Island is not part of our district. Just an interesting thing to hand to the city. And we quickly say when somebody dies at Crab Island, you read about in the paper that somebody died in Destin. Are we the only people that care?
No,
Why don't we have the city beating on us to prevent deaths on Crab Island rather than the other way around? Let me just get my 4 out, and then you can throw them out as you want to. The second is, if someone's having a heart attack, response time matters. Well, what the hell's county EMS? They're primary on medical calls like heart attacks. They have a station right down at the end of the road. You know, why is it our issue to provide proper response time for a heart attack to somebody in West Destin? Let's let somebody go talk to Mel or whoever's gonna get that seat, and let the city work with the county to provide better service, okay? And protect the park. The third thing we do is the structure, you know, fire structure and rescue accidents, that kind of stuff. And when we look at our calls to the West End, we might want to parse it down by what kind of calls they really are. And we might find a bit of a difference in what we've got. I'm not at all backing off my support for putting a station at Clement Taylor Park, but people that think the alternative is, well, just go find another place. Just go to the cement plant. Here's something behind McGuire's. Those aren't the alternatives. The alternative is hand it back to the city, hand it back to the county, and let's quit worrying about protecting citizens. And let's just help the citizens realize that that primary job is somebody else's. We'll do our fire structure, we'll do our rescue, but you know, we don't have a problem if we don't have to go to Crab Island with a boat, for example. It's just a thought. And I wouldn't be belligerent in that meeting, but it might be helpful if people realize those are really the alternatives. Everyone agrees we need better protection for our citizens on the West End. But it isn't about us paying $2 million for, you know, a quarter of an acre. And that's gonna quickly becoming the alternative. And we're the people the public won't give another nickel of revenue to.
Right. Well, to answer your question, the first one, Crab Island, the council is very clear and they understand that it is not destined, but they know that it is destined. They know when there is a downing, or they know when there is an issue out there. They know it's destined. It's in the media, it's all over Destin. They get it, and they appreciate what we are doing. Answer number 2 was the calls of where they're located with the EMS. As you will know, and I think the chief might be able to answer it better than I do, but it's pretty simple. When the call goes out to 911, we're there usually first.
Oh, I know.
And there's a reason why we're there first. So,
We're not at the hospital in Fort Walton or out in Sacred Heart.
or they're just waiting
Right.
until we
Okay.
get there with the big guys again, you know, so.
Maybe Okaloosa County ought to have an ambulance here that is more available.
Right, well, in between all your questions, in between every one of them, I've went to every council member, including the city manager, and I said, look, guys, I'm only speaking for myself, but there's no doubt in my mind the other 4 commissioners would go along with what I'm saying. We'll just give you the part. You guys run it. Okay, y'all put the station where you want it. Y'all put trucks where you want it. Y'all handle this. We're doing the best we can. It's paid for, guys. So that's, you know, I told Ronnie, he made a comment that they owe $28 million. And I said, you know, and we're debt free. And I said, well, our portfolio would make you look really good. You know, I mean, your debt ratio would look really nice if you took this. They don't want us. I mean, it's
They
really-
don't want to go through the hassle,
right, so,
but they won't stand up for us either.
well, we're getting closer, you know, it's getting a push and shove, but we're getting closer. Your third question was as far as the timing, they get it. When I took the mapping system that we drew up to the city clerk this morning, to Ray Bailey, it took him about 2 seconds to look at it, and he figured it out real quick. It didn't take very long. And he looked at this station right here, and he looked at the concrete plant, and he looked at Clement Taylor Park, and he goes, I get it. So if the city clerk can get it, when we put it in front of the council and it's gonna be up on the screen, they're gonna get it real quick. Real soon. I mean, you guys make the decision, but the concrete plant's not gonna make it different where we're at right now. And I made it clear, or I didn't have to make it clear, Ray picked this up also. If we leave leave the concrete plant for a 911 call and it's up on Harbor Boulevard somewhere, guess what we gotta do? We gotta run through it, nothing but residential area
Right.
to get there, where the majority of our calls are up there in that corner. So why disturb the residents at midnight if we don't have to, for something that is over there? We're making progress.
Yeah.
What was the fourth one?
All right.
The fourth question was? I'm proud of myself for remembering three.
Well, I think it was one, let's just give them the fire department side. I actually.
So I feel good that I am.
Just on the record, if any of those people complaining about what we're doing, think they can do a better job, put your resume on the table, they can have my seat.
There is a few council members that called on the night that we were all there. There was about 20, maybe 23, 25 people on the other side. About halfway through the meeting, half of them got up and left. Two of them called me the next morning and said, Mike, we were against this. We were told you're taking the park. Once they found out really what was going on, it upset them that they were there to try to save a park that we're not taking. So the council seen that also. The council did notice that half of them got up and left halfway through the meeting. It didn't take long. So what we're fighting is maybe 10, 12 people compared to the community. And that's going to be laid out real carefully and broadly to the council, say, guys, you make this decision. We're here to protect these people. And the people that are complaining live on this side of town, which is already getting service from. But what they're not stopping and thinking is that if we pull a truck from here to go to that side of town to give them service over there, and you call 911 here, we got to pull a truck from somewhere else. And hopefully they're not somewhere, because you might have to wait if they're on a call somewhere else. So if we have three in each area, it's gonna help everybody's response time. I'll tell you what I would like though, Catherine, if you could for me. I do need a copy of the letter from the Taylor family. That was brought up today, and there was something else that I needed. Anything else you guys can think of that we can bring in and put in front of council on the 19th, bring it. But I know the letter was brought up, the signatures, the mapping system. But any other kind of support, Chief, that you can think of, I would appreciate it.
I have Ms. Tammy working on a map that plots out the calls on the water, not necessarily just the west end, because that could be anywhere on land.
Sure.
But as far as the location of the station, which also plays into everything that we've been discussing, whether it's concrete plant or whether it needs to be here, actually the closer it becomes to the bridge, the better it is for us for response times. But this Clement Taylor seems to be the closest place that we can, that we have the potential for obtaining, that puts us almost in the middle of the action. And cut it short, we've got a map, we're plotting out where all the calls were on the water, and what we've gotten so far clearly delineates that the calls are all in the past. In the harbor, you also see there are some that will go mutual aid on the island, and over the last 3 years, there's been 2 calls in Chose Bayou. So all the rest of them are on that other end. So I think that helps to demonstrate exactly what we're talking about with looking where the station needs to be located so that we can be where we need to be as soon as we can, or as quick as we can. When And when minutes matter, seconds count, we need to be there, not separate.
Right, when you get that, will you make sure you get me a copy?
Absolutely.
Then I will hand deliver it to Ray and put it in my package that I'm gonna submit.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because probably one.
But I do, Ms. Tammy,
Yes,
I really need it no
Yes,
later than 12 tomorrow, if you can, because that's the cutoff of putting it in.
We'll have it to you by that, no problem.
Chief,
I-
some, oh, go ahead, you were going to go ahead.
No, I'm gonna take a minute, go ahead.
Okay. Chief, I've been hearing some people say, why don't we go across the bridge and ask the government
Yeah.
over at the Coast Guard station to carve out a piece over there and let us have the station? Can you kind of address that publicly for us?
Wow. Well, first off, it isn't in the district.
Well, that's the
I
biggest
mean,
thing.
that's
It's not in
number
our
one. It's not
district.
it's not in our district.
And traffic.
And if we think that this is a challenge, working with the city for the park, to attempt to work with the federal government to carve out a piece of property to put a station on, I think it's gonna be monumental. I can act with Congress per se. So, and then you're putting us on another side of a bridge. Anything happens on that one artery coming into Destin, that station is no use to us. Great for the island, poor for Destin.
Yeah, we can't get across
If
the bridge.
anything happens. A
Exactly.
vehicle accident occurs on the bridge, which often happens. That truck ain't getting across that bridge to come here to help anybody that's on this side. It's just, I get it, that's maybe a piece of property that's of no cost, and maybe we can get it worked out. Act of Congress one, the bigger thing is, I think, really, is even if it took us 5 years to get it done, you get it done. It isn't a good operation when I have one artery to get into the district to provide it. The other option, if that bridge ever closes, is to go how many miles all the way around? You know, so it's kind of,
And the same thing on return, if we just posted the boat on that side and drove over there to
You can't do
respond. Can't do it.
right. If Gulf Breeze, as an example, clearly for everybody right now, you can look at Pensacola and see, a fine example of what we're talking about is if Gulf Breeze had to depend on the Pensacola Fire Department or a station on that side of that bridge to come and help them, think of how, it's not practical. That makes no sense. You lose that one artery, that department's done.
That came from a young lady in the community that really blew my mind that said that too. A little smarter than the average person, but
Well, I just heard the comment, I'm not mentioning names, but I'm just like, you know, it's unbelievable that. you know, that some comments are being made and I just wanted you to.
Yes, sir. I think, as far as the commission ain't even my part.
Well, please
I think that
keep
would
it-
just be difficult.
please keep in mind, they've had plenty of time, the community's had plenty of time to put their questions in for the council. And, we did exactly what the council asked, we had a town hall meeting.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, there's gonna be continued, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm staying off of it, I'm just kind of backing up. They've already said what they're gonna say.
Yeah. You can't change some people's minds, so
You can't change.
that makes sense.
There's a lot to this, but the biggest issue is that you hear is one, they say that we're not bound to respond to these places. Well, that's not true. Because under the state of Florida laws, and it's in our charter, rescue response service means an initial response to emergency or accident situation, including but not limited to a plane crash, a trench or building collapse, a swimming or boating accident, or a motor vehicle accident. This provision of this act shall be liberally construed to effectively carry out the purpose this act in the interest of public safety. So we are by law required to respond to any of these. I don't care if it's in Crab Island, in the past, in the Gulf, or wherever, we're required to respond.
Right.
And that's why they said it's liberally construed to do that.
That's why we went to the fire.
That question is totally out of it, okay? Number two is the Destin Fire Control District is not the city of Destin. We cover more places than is in the city limits, outside the city limits. So don't let that be a thing in their mind that we are not in the city of Destin. We are the Destin Fire Control District, which we cover a bigger area than the city of Destin does. And that's, a lot of people don't understand that.
Hence our budget's a little bit more.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's, we can't be everything to everybody, but at the same time, we, from our history and our knowledge of what goes on, we know that EMS is not gonna get there in less than 10, 15, 20 minutes. So we gotta respond, because by law, we've got to do that. So,
Tommy, you just put two good points up that really needs to go in front of council, and I asked the ladies if they would print it. Number one. Number two, if there's any way I could have a map tomorrow morning, chief, that shows what he just said. Council members have made comments about, us not having any debt, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that, But our coverage, you just said, is a lot larger than the city of Destin. So I would like to have a map that shows the city, chief, that you can just yellow highlight if you have to, but then all the other area in a big circle, which is Kelly Plantation,
Regatta Bay,
I'm sorry?
Regatta Bay.
Regatta Bay, all those areas out there that's not part of the city, including the Destin Commons, including the public shopping center, where we respond to all kinds of stuff there. Including the marina, including all that stuff out there that is not part of the city.
Mhm.
We need to show them why Station 10 covers everything out there and how much Station 9 does. I think that's one more thing to open their eyes up on the 19th is, look at the area we're covering, guys.
I don't think it's so much it's a
That's
debate that
huge.
we're not needed. I think it's more debate that's
well,
where
they
it's
keep
at.
arguing that it's not our job.
Yeah, they're saying it's not our job, but
Yeah.
what Tommy just said, these ladies are gonna print that. I'm gonna take that and hand it to the council and say, damn it, it is our job. Quit telling us that's not our job. It is our
Yeah,
job.
this is the laws of the state.
It's the law of the state of Florida. Here it is.
We also, Mike, should not let them say like Rodney did, that we're debt-free.
No, I get that.
That is an obligation to pay some party,
Right,
future monies.
right.
What's our obligation, our pension shortfall today?
Over 6 million.
So we're over 6 million in debt.
Right.
Because we take our pension liability very seriously.
And I like that. And that's gonna be one of my comments.
I'm not sure if Ronnie ought to
Can I
say
have a
what I
copy of
said,
that, too,
because it made me look like an idiot.
Well, of course.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, but,
we're in debt and they aren't.
exactly. It made them look real bad. That's why I told them we would have to do it to them.
It's so much stuff that needs to get out to these people that they don't understand. And that biggest one, like you said, we cover more territory than the city of Destin.
We should have followed this, guys. 3 months ago, there's 5 seats up for reelection. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They should have elected us. We've got them out of debt. Come on, Jack. Man, we count on you,
I
buddy.
prefer not. I kinda like this group staying here, just.
But, it's just, they keep beating this dead horse and,
They know that, Tommy. Those guys know that.
the sooner we can get a vote on this, the better it is.
Bingo.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we need an up or down, either one.
Yes,
We
we
just
know.
gotta, we just gotta know.
We've been getting a slow roll here for a long time. Mike, I just gotta say, we appreciate how you stayed with this and even kept your temper most of the time. And,
Some guy taught me something one day.
but it's, we just need to call a question. If they want to vote no, vote no.
Just let us know so we can
Or
double
vote
check.
yes, but don't sit here and come up with one more thing we gotta go do.
Right.
2 years? Is that long?
That's how long we've been.
3 years.
Talking.
2 years.
Yeah, well,
Good, thank you. Tommy, thanks for bringing that up. That was good, two good points.
I just think it'd be a good win-win for the city and the district to be there, for the citizens of Destin and the visitors of Destin.
And the district.
Yeah, and the district, so. All right.
And the
well, thank you.
citizens of the community, why do we want to wake them up every time we go out and call them? We shouldn't have to do that. If you're worried about kids, like they're saying in the park, well, for God's sakes, we're gonna run down how many streets in the residential area?
Mhm.
You know?
Preaching to the choir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for your help on that. You've taken a lot of heat, so appreciate it. All right, any other discussion? All right, moving on to insurance, general and workers' compensation.
Yes, sir. I'll turn that over to Ms. Catherine. I will say that, as we did tell the board, we did renew, with the significant increase that we had, explained to the board was coming when we went ahead and renewed. But we also followed through what we said, we want to go ahead and see what we could get quoted out. So we'll With that said, we have been working on that. I'll let Ms. Catherine kind of fill the board in on where we are now. We won't be asking for a decision tonight, but we'll probably be making a presentation in the next meeting. Ms. Catherine.
Okay.
As Chief said, we'll present something at the next meeting. What we're faced with is we did find an alternative to go back to Florida League of Cities, who used to be the workers' compensation carrier, which we had 3 years ago, and we had them for a substantial period of time. We moved away from them for certain reasons. Now, what it takes to go back to them is they will not write workers' comp solely as the sole line of coverage. They require us to move our full general liability package to them as well. So we've received a quote from them. The quote has a substantial savings of $60,000. The quote is not in the general liability side. The quote is 100% in the workers' compensation side. What I'd like to do in the presentation next month is lay out not only financially, but also the pros and cons of the different insurance carriers. It has been mentioned by Florida League of Cities that our current carrier has much better coverage on the liability side. So we need I want to make sure that we have all the information laid out for you. Also, I don't want to rush into this change. There is a penalty for changing workers' comp carriers. There is a penalty, so I need to put that out for you. Right now, the state of Florida is entertaining a reduction in workers' compensation rates. It has not passed legislation yet. However, if it does, they're currently looking at a reduction of more than 5% in the mod classifications. So there's a lot of information to put before you. Again, we didn't want to rush and get it to you now. So we will have it at the next meeting and to determine what's in the best interest of the district. It's really going to be, weighing the coverage that we have, the benefits that the providers, how the providers give their service versus the monetary amount. So it's a lot to look at, and we'll have it before you next month.
Thank you.
And then we can kind of discuss one-on-one with you, Chief, or something ahead of time. Maybe.
Yes, sir. We can give you a review of it prior to our meeting so that you'll have a pretty good grasp of it before we go into the meeting and the presentation.
Can I ask another old business question? Sure. That's on the Crystal Beach Station land. Is that moving anywhere at all?
So, I actually spoke with Whitney Smith on the way over here. They're following a partition action, because it's the only way they're gonna be able to do it. They're waiting on 3 more beneficiaries to sign off on the petition, or I'm sorry, the complaint has to be verified, and she will let me know as soon as it is filed. She said that most likely there's gonna be a lot of defaults entered because no one's gonna respond. That's been the whole issue, but we're not gonna be able to get anywhere until we get those defaults. So I told her to keep me updated. She promised to. So as soon as I hear anything, once it's filed with the clerk, then it'll be a lot easier to follow. Monitor. So thank you.
Well, at least they're moving forward a little bit, so.
Yeah.
We'll get some- Yeah. But I understand that part. Okay. Anything else? All right, moving on to Chief's report, street safety update.
Yes, sir. We'll get,
Joe?
Good evening, everybody. Don't have that much for you. Our attendance has picked up as expected for October. And since we printed this, just looking at our statistics, the stats on this page are accurate up until this morning. We did have our first drowning on Saturday on the beach. We had double red flags flying for 36 hours. They were not taken down at night. The lifeguards did come off the beach briefly for when that rain band came through. There's thunder, lightning, rain. We can't ask our staff to sit in that. We've had towers get struck by lightning.
Right.
That's when the gentleman went into the water. They still responded in a timely fashion. But just one of those things when we're, just that slight bit vulnerable, something bad happened. So if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Were there two people involved and the other person's okay?
They
right?
did,
Okay.
we helped the other person, we got them out of the water, yes, sir.
So it was two people then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sad.
It is. It is.
I'm glad they all made it, but it's sad for the other victims, like 19,
Yes, yes.
a lot ahead of them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did Chief give you about getting these numbers for the Destin City Council about where the calls are on the water?
Most of that's already contained. I didn't have to pull it from Joe because most of it's already reflected in the reports.
Okay.
We're gonna use the boat numbers as well as Harbor Nine's numbers. Not necessarily is there any need to use the bulk of the numbers from the beach side. But we could put those in there if the board would like, but I was looking at more the harbor and Harbor Nine, and the boats, as well as any calls that might have even been out of season. So, because we have obviously in season, especially on the weekends when the boat's out, or in season when Harbor Nine's out. So those numbers the board is able to see every meeting. We're gonna utilize those, but then we're gonna also add in the calls when it's outside of that season and Boat Nine gets called to go, and there's nobody on the beach to perform rescue other than Boat Nine or a passerby or something. So,
Me personally, I'd rather stick with what we're dealing with, which is over there. This doesn't,
right, on the beach side.
we're already getting enough of that information. We stick with just that.
Joe, I did have a question for you.
Sure.
You know, the city allowed boats to enter in that one, what do they call it?
Cove.
Cove,
Yeah, the cove, what have you. Have you seen a lot of boat traffic in that area?
I wouldn't say a lot. I've seen boat traffic. I wouldn't say a lot, but it's being utilized.
Has it? Okay. No issues?
Not so far.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
thank you.
Training report?
Yes, sir, you'll see, the folks got in 27 hours, broke down in those different categories. If you have any questions, I'll answer them. You'll see they did medical training, standard company training, and target solutions,
You weren't going there.
and some specialty training, which they were taught a course delivery class.
Chief, what is distracted driving for EVO?
Emergency vehicle operator?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any more questions?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Seeing none, fire prevention and inspection?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, you get my report in front of you there. Not a whole lot to report this time. Everything kind of just moving forward a little bit on the apartment or hotels and stuff that are coming. So we're starting to clear the properties and stuff like that. I did talk to the gentleman from the Charles today, and he said it's probably 6 to 8 weeks, maybe 2 months out on bringing in the modular homes and modular buildings and stuff out there, so, in Charles, so. Other than that, if you have any questions, I'll read answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Overtime report, chief?
Yes, sir. Really clean month. You only see 1 hour of it, so that's
excellent.
outstanding.
Good
We
job.
did have some, now when Sally came through, because it kind of changed its course, we did have some with that. So that's not necessarily reflected in this studio overtime report, because it's a separate hurricane overtime. So it's really clean month, only 1 hour. That was really good.
Excellent. Good job. All right, new business, resolution 21-01, South Beach safety assets.
Yes, sir, I'll let Ms. Catherine pick it up, but in general, it's, as we do most each year, there's certain beach safety assets that we need to roll. This might be our last year to do that, as you know that the county is purchasing those assets, and when they go to purchase them, we're just gonna turn them back over to them. If they're going to buy them, then they can sell them.
Right.
Um,
And get them ready.
Yeah, instead of us having to go through, because there is some work to get those things prepped and ready to be sold. And then there's advertising cost, and it's also the administrative staff has additional duties to take on to get that done. So this should be the last time that we roll it, and then after that, it should be that it's gonna be the guys to turn it over to them and just give us names.
Move that we approve resolution 2101 as written.
Second.
I got a motion to approve. And a second, any discussion? Seeing none, take a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Resolution 21-02, sale of beach safety assets.
Yes, we're cleaning up a little. We have some assets that we need to discard of. Some of them have a little cost to them, some might have zero cost to them. You'll see the difference in the resolution. And this one is that we're just gonna dispose of in accordance with, our own rules and procedures, and that's where you see some of the difference in the cost there. But really, it's just generally cleaning it up. The junior trailer is of no use to us anymore. We've got another one that was running out, so on and so forth. You can look down and see how it kind of goes out. But we'll be disposing these assets, so that's why you have the resolution.
Many of these are like, what I can see is they're all rusted out probably.
Yes,
Like the trailer, the
Where is all this
trailer
stuff at?
right now it's out of Station 10.
and the lockers.
Right. And,
That's
well,
the trailer.
you know, the trailers take up, now we have multiple trailers out there take up a lot of space, which is one of the reasons we kind of wanted to pursue that property out there at Crystal Beach. Because we do have a lot of assets that kind of come along with
And when is this going up for sale?
Once you all approve, we'll have to go through that process. It'll take us a few days to get it advertised and that kind of stuff, or a couple of weeks. Yeah, it is a sealed bid, so anybody can bid on it.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 21-02.
Second.
Next.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's take a vote, all in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
All right, moving into the next meeting, which is the regular scheduled meeting. It's scheduled for November 10th, 2020 at 5:30 PM here at Station 9 at 848 Airport Road here in Destin. And if there's nothing else from the commissioners or the board, hey,
I got a question for the chief. It's been brought to my attention 1,000 times. Every time there's a boating accident, a fire, a drowning, I don't know about y'all, but I get calls from the community. Everybody knows me. Mike, what's going on? What's going on? I even get calls from council members. What's going on? What's going on? Is there such thing out there? And I have an app that the district can get that we can put on our phones that when there is a drowning or something major like this, that it will be sent to our phones. So we know what's going on.
That's a great idea.
Thank you.
Use something like the Oakland County, the
Right.
sheriff puts out for
They use it,
accidents and
right.
road closures and all that. I forget what it's called, but every time there's one of those, you get.
And it's something that you don't even have to do it.
Right.
The battalion chief, whoever's on call has that app on his phone and he automatically hits it and it goes to us 5 and it goes to chief. It's just a no brainer. I know there's something out there.
I'll have to because, the sheriff's office is kind of, because there is an app that we utilize, for beach safety utilizes one, so they get it on the phone as well as the pager, because pagers sometimes are hit and miss out on the beach. So we give them multiple ways to be able to be notified. I'm not sure about the parsing. So I'll have to check the sheriff's office. There's a way where they can actually, it automatically parses the calls, so that way only certain call types end up being sent out. Because what I can kind of see is the one app that we have is I can't remember the specific name of it, but 911 or E911, or there's something that there's an app out there that we're utilizing. I don't think it parses, it just sends that.
I got it.
If if a call comes in for Destin,
Yeah.
it gets sent to that
I've got
app.
it, and it doesn't give you much information at all.
Right.
So, it might be something that I'm sure there's an app out there. We're not the only fire commissioner that needs to know or wants to know what's going on in the district. But if nothing else, maybe the 3 battalion chiefs is on duty. Part of their protocol that they do on a call is they hit text, and it's us 5 plus him, and it automatically sends out, hey guys, just want to let you know there's a drowning such and such, we're on it, responding, we'll fill you in later. So at least we know something.
You're just talking a group text.
A group text, what I'm saying, just a group
You're
text.
talking just major stuff. You're not talking about going to just the
to the.
No, we're talking about drowning,
Just-
fire.
Just major,
Yeah, I'm talking about
fire.
major stuff.
not alpha calls or.
No, just major stuff, you know, and maybe it's just part of their protocol, because, you know, I mean, guys, I hate to say how many phone calls I get, you know, hey, man, what's going on, you know, what's going on?
Being popular, huh?
Well, you know, but there should be, we're a public servant, and we should be able to give some kind of an answer, you know, maybe not right that minute,
You
but
mean
we
a
should be able to give an
notification,
answer.
not necessarily an answer.
What she does, I call him all the time,
Yeah.
hey, what's going on, what's going on?
And it might be easier to do that, chief, I don't know if it's
What's that?
easier just to, like Jack said, it might be easier just to do a broad text, you know,
Oh, no, it would be.
yeah.
You
and-
know, whatever it is that we figure out, it would be.
I would think that'd be much
approved.
easier.
Yeah, just
So
put some
that
thought to
everybody
it and
get it.
see how
Yeah.
we can just kind of stay in the loop on major.
So we know what the heck's going on.
Yeah, because,
Yeah.
well, yeah, right, I'll have to see if we can find an app. See what I can do. I'll do some research on it, see what the sheriff's office is using. That's an idea. I hadn't thought about those guys.
Does that create a public records kind of issue for us?
It doesn't matter. We're still gonna.
No, I
know
don't
about it.
understand. I
Yeah,
just-
no, I get it. I
You
get it's
know,
a good
that
question, but
just
it's
turns
still.
into a storage and all that kind of stuff.
Not necessarily because it's just information
Right.
that's being sent. It's not telling you that we need your assistance for anything and you need to be on, it's just
It doesn't require a response.
correct.
I do know that the city manager is responsible, whatever happens in Destin, he is responsible to text. He does a broad text to his, city council members. They know what's going on. And you might want to check with Lance and find out what he's using. I don't know.
Yeah, he's just texting.
I'll just-
I don't
He's
know.
just getting
But
notified.
he does a broad to all, council members.
Yeah, and he doesn't, and his information comes from the sheriff's office. So the sheriff's office notifies him of anything that they're aware, because they have road deputies all over, I say all over the place. They have road deputies around. There's a significant difference between us and the sheriff's office. Their layering is ridiculous as far as their layers. So, because you'll have the patrol officer, you'll have a corporal, you'll have a sergeant, you'll have, lieutenant, a major, a captain, a colonel, and, they got a significant layer so that there's somebody that's not involved in that call that's kind of handling that, but yeah, is listening to the radio and knows what's going on and kind of doing that. We don't quite have that layering, so I'm gonna try to, if I search something so that because the battalions, if there's something that's big going on, they're busy. So trying to take that time out to go, hey, wait a minute, I gotta.
No, and
You know
I
what I'm
get that.
saying? So-
I get that.
So I've got
It's
to
part of
find,
their protocol, however, that falls in that, in that, once they're done and it's out or whatever, it's just part of the system, wherever it may be, where it falls in. At
right,
least
it might
we
be
know what's
later.
going on.
I know that you've actually called me before I even get notified of the call. So there's been times when you see smoke somewhere and
Right.
I've gotten something going on. So,
Right,
and so you might not get that information like right as soon as you see the smoke. It could be 30 to 45 minutes to an hour later if we're busy.
well, that's
and
why I'm
involved in
saying,
that.
chief, that's why I'm saying maybe it comes to the battalion chief himself, because a lot of times they don't call you on certain things. I have called you
Right.
before and they said, chief,
Right.
what's that smoke over there?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. The guys know what's going on.
Yeah. But they notice the illegal burn or some kind of burn going on somewhere like that.
Exactly.
Which is not so I guess where I was trying to get at is instead of making it a labor intensive thing to where it has to depend on the battalion having to do that, if there's a way I can parse it so that it comes out with certain call types. So that way y'all get it. So that way it makes it, if it's more automated,
Comes from dispatchers.
Right.
Our guys,
no, it'll be from dispatch.
yeah, because I see our guys,
Right.
battalions, we have major problem. Last thing he wants to do is talk to the commissioners. That's why
I'm
they
not
don't-
asking to talk to them, but please keep in mind that we are public servants, and if somebody asks me a question, I'm gonna answer it. And if this is what it takes to do it, I'm just saying, is there an
I
app?
don't think that the public needs to know right away what the problem is. If they have to wait till after it's over with, our guys get their job done first.
No, and I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing with that. That I'm not arguing with. I asked a simple question.
Yeah.
Is there an app that we can know what the hell's going
I'll
on? That's all I
research
care about. That's it.
I'll research, see what I can do about finding it out. See if they got it.
It may be as simple as a voice text over iMessage
Yeah.
to a defined group.
Right.
It would take all of about 15 seconds to do that.
Exactly.
But I agree, I mean, our guys.
I'm not
safety comes
dictating
first.
how it's done. I'm just asking to find something.
Yeah. The next one coming from dispatch. Automatic.
Well, let's just let the chief
Yeah, let me do
test,
some
test and then
All
we'll
over engineer
figure out.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, anything else? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.